What the hell is Deadlock's mid-game? If you've played Deadlock for even a couple of hours, that moment has come to you. You're in lane phase, things are making sense. You trade kills, you push creeps, and you try and get that tower at the end. Then, suddenly, some towers start to fall, objectives appear all around the map, and the team scatters out of your lane. Deadlock is sneaky. It's a hero shooter with some extra rules. If you come from others, like Overwatch 2, Rivals, or hell, even Apex, you can survive lane phase on pure skill and game sense alone. But once towers fall, Deadlock reveals its true identity. It's a MOBA wearing a hero shooter's jacket. And for the rest of the game, you'll be playing on these brand new terms. So today, we'll be diving into what Deadlock's mid-game actually is. We'll cover what to focus on, where to be, and where to look, and how Deadlock's 5-minute combat cycle can be utilized to snowball that advantage. By the end, you'll have a framework for not only surviving mid-game, but thriving. It's time to Deadlock in. Let's first start by anchoring everything with Deadlock's golden rule, that of lane pressure. Creeps march forward, and unless someone answers, objectives can fall. It's easy to respect this rule in lane. It's a 2v2 brawl, you see the creeps, you see the tower, everything is right there. But the moment towers fall and rotations start to come through, people forget. Lanes start to be left open, objectives and walkers start to take creep damage. And here's the thing, ignoring wave is the fastest way to lose the game. As people chase kills in the jungle and fights over urn, walkers fall while nobody's looking. And regardless of rank, bad macro is bad gameplay. It isn't the most glamorous job, but somebody's got to do it. If you're newer to MOBAs, this term macro might be confusing, however let's break it down. It's everything beyond the immediate duel. It's how our objectives are standing, how our waves are pushed, and how our rotations are done on time to ensure that those walkers don't take some extra creep damage. It's also communicating when you can't cover lane. If you see creeps crashing your side lane walker while you're on the other side in the middle of the jungle, call it out. The lower your rank, the more likely it is that your teammates are suffering from tunnel vision and ignoring the vital objective. And this is the first truth of Deadlock's mid-game. Even if you can't out-aim your opponent, if you can out-macro, stay on top of objectives, handle lane pressure, and rotate on the right time, you can out-position them into a win. We've been talking about objectives and walkers, but what the hell are they? So, here's some walker stats to help you know exactly why they're so important. Side lane walkers have 5,800 HP, whereas blue lane has over 9,000. They grant a 15% spirit and bullet resist to allies nearby. Well, why do walkers matter? Because they change the economy of the entire game. 1 walker down is 1 extra slot. 3 walkers down is 2 extra slots. This is both an economic and power advantage over the opposing team and can ensure that the next fight you take is one where your team is heavily bolstered in comparison. And remember, wasting time poking walkers pre-minute 16 is bait. The walker resistances are too high at this point and your team starts to bleed tempo. The real move is to shove the wave, steal their jungle, and wait for that more opportune time to strike. And speaking of timing, let's dive into Deadlock's 5-minute combat cycle. Every 5 minutes in Deadlock, urn and bridge buffs respawn. Think of these like timers in your head, the metronome of mid-game. Teams naturally gravitate to these spawns, more so bridge buffs than urn in lower lobbies. However, I can assure you that they are the catalyst for many a team fight. The key in these objective and win mechanics is not simply just taking them when they spawn, but rather taking them at the most opportune time. If you treat every 5-minute mark as a checkpoint in the game, it more easily organizes your play. Between minutes 10 and 14:30, you should really be farming and trying to get your next power spike. Then, as soon as that bridge buff comes online or that urn finally drops, with your newly acquired item, you can take that fight. The worst thing you can do at this point is still scrambling for camps and boxes and sitting on over 2,000 in souls. And this is where so many teams lose. They show up late to the fight without their power spike and are surprised when they get rolled. The urn doesn't win you the fight, the preparation does. The urn is merely the catalyst to get it going. So let's dig into that preparation and learn some new terms, such as power ramping and power spikes. A power spike is when your character goes from eh to oh god, kill it now. It can be an item like Tesla bullets for Wraith or Ivy, or maybe even an upgraded ability like tier 3 on Kelvin's Ice Beam. The key is there are points in the game where you yourself are markedly stronger than you were before, and in relation to the rest of the lobby, you probably have a higher total power cap than others at that exact moment. However, these spikes don't last forever. Buying Tesla bullets or hitting that tier 3 is very nice and can get you through that next fight. However, relying on it for more than 2 or 3 minutes can seriously start to see some diminishing returns. As soon as the enemy hits their power spikes, then the tables are yet again even, if not flipped back on you. Those couple minutes in between are your window, and are exactly when you should be taking either those earn fights or pushing an objective. If you simply wait on it, your spike is wasted. This is why the combat cycle and syncing your power spikes with that 5-minute combat cycle is so essential. If you and 2 or 3 other of your teammates all have just bought and are ready for a fight along with the earn dropping, then you and your team are cooking up something sweet. With all this talk of power spikes and power ramping, it begs the question, how do I hit my spikes on time? Farming. Deadlock's economy is deeper than it might seem, and midgame is where it truly opens up. Here I have listed your farm prio. Sinner sacrifices should be focused above all, primarily due to the buffs they can give you at a jackpot hit. This will give you 4 boons that you typically get from a golden statue and is a fantastic way to continually ramp your passive stats. After Sinner sacrifices, we move on to our jungle creeps. Primarily focus on tier 2 and tier 1 camps in that early to mid game, and reach for those tier 3 camps only once you have that damage or can cultist sacrifice one of them. Finally, in between all of those objectives, you should be grabbing as many boxes and golden statues as possible. These are fantastic for keeping your souls per minute up, as well as padding those passive stats. Think of this as your farm hierarchy. When you're pushing the wave and get it up to Walker, again, instead of poking that Walker at those early minutes, rotate into their jungle and start to steal their resources. This is macro soul denial. In lane phase, you can deny by shooting the little soul orb that comes out of the creep. In mid-game, you can deny by choking out entire soul camps. This again creates a widened differential between their total possible soul allocation as well as your total possible soul allocation. If your team farms efficiently and invades smartly, this leads to quicker buys and better buys for that next earn, bridge buff, or mid-boss fight. And the beauty of this denial is that it snowballs. The more you and your team are able to smartly steal, the larger the differential gets, the harder it will be for them to push you out of their own jungle, yet again allowing you to soak up even more of their farm. The more they're starved, the fewer options they have, and the more likely it is for you to not only steal those resources, but then rotate back into lane and finally hit that walker for some damage. So whenever you're not fighting or rotating, ask yourself, what's the highest value farm I could be taking right now? If the answer is boxes in your own jungle, well, you're probably leaving a whole lot of soul on the table. Finally, we have map awareness and intuition. This is such an expansive topic as to warrant a separate video, so do stay tuned. However, a cursory overview should work for now. Map awareness is the layer of glue that holds everything together. If you're not actively in combat, your eyes should be on that map. Farming? Look at the map. Clearing a wave? Look at the map. Walking to another lane? Look at the map. Because the map is free info. You can see where enemies are, primarily where they aren't, and if a wave is pushing too far into one of your lanes. And from all this info, you start to predict and intuit what the next move might be. As an example, let's say you're in the far left lane, and you see 3 or even 4 enemies in the mid and right side of the map. You can safely say that this could max mean only 2 are in your lane. You could do 2 things. You can either rotate and try and help your team. However, since you're on the other side of the map, this could take quite a while. The much more advantageous option would be to try and shove this lane. Due to the heavy allocation of enemy team members on the other side of the map, it should be much easier for you to try and do damage on that walker, or at the very least invade and steal some farm. Conversely, if you see no one on the enemy team, this is a much more dangerous state to be in. Pushing the lane is more than likely going to result in you getting ganked. This would result in not only you, but possibly a teammate trying to come and save you, dying. leading to less souls per minute and more than likely either walker damage on your side or at the very least, a jungle invasion. This is where your intuition needs to start coming into play. Intuition is simply practiced pattern recognition, and the only way to build up that, well, is to play more games. The more you watch the map and the more you start playing, the more you'll be able to predict what the enemy team is likely concocting. What's their win condition right now? Where do they need to be in order to get the best advantage? What are possibly their next buys? Take all of this info and let it affect your gameplay, trying to counter-buy, counter-rotate, and even counter-push. That's the thought process that turns raw awareness into anticipation and perfect execution. And the best teams do this collectively, constantly communicating and coordinating what they feel might be happening. Deadlock rewards the predictors, not the reactors. So let's bring it all together. Deadlock's mid-game is the pivot point of the match. It's when the facade of the hero shooter finally falls and the MOBA comes out. No longer is the game only worried about your lane, but rather all three at the same time. To play it well, you need to adhere to those principles. Respect lane pressure, protect and punish wonkers, align with that 5-minute combat cycle, hit your power spikes on time, farm and deny efficiently, and above all, train your map sense until it becomes second nature. It's tempted to think that mid-game is about non-stop fighting, but it's not. It's about fighting at the right time, for the right reasons and with the right preparation. If lane phase is the tutorial, the mid-game is the exam. And if you can pass the exam, well then the chaos of late game will be a cakewalk. Fail the exam, and no amount of raw skill or aim will save you. So, the next time you hear those towers fall and you ask yourself, what the hell is Deadlock's mid-game? You'll have your answer. Thank you for watching. It's time for me to Deadlock out.